Bruce.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Immaculate Perceptions on Game On Wisconsin. I'm Joe Arrigo. With me is MJ Hurley, and we're getting right to it. We're bringing out the big dogs for the first guest on the show, Rob Demovsky, ESPN reporter. Rob, welcome.
Joe, how you doing, buddy?
Man, I'm good. Hey, first of all, love your haircut. Best I've seen on the show yet.
I haven't paid for one in about 20 years.
I'm with you on that. It's been about 7 for me. Real quick, I got a question. It's kind of not Packer related, though.
Okay.
How do you and Paul Gutierrez coexist? Because I know Paul, that's my carnal right there. So it's kind of, I know Paul's a different cat.
So actually, you'll have to ask Paul this once. Next time you talk to him. We were sitting in a meeting in Bristol at ESPN headquarters. I don't know, a couple of years ago, and we were all sitting kind of in a U shape in like a conference room, and I took a whole lime, and I whipped it at him, and he caught it right in the middle of a meeting.
That's great.
Don't ask me why I had a whole lime in my hand, but
I'll say I wonder if you had a little cerveza with you in that meeting.
I was gonna say we doing a little day drinking. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh my
Paul's
god,
the best, man. He's a great guy.
He really is, man. He's a big time out here in Vegas. Let's start with obviously the question. Training camp's underway. Today Aaron Rodgers actually came out and kind of had, I don't want to say a harsh criticism, but kind of the reality for the receivers, like, hey, it's time to get going because the season's right around the corner. What do you make of those comments?
Yeah, like I texted a buddy of mine because he said Rodgers texted me, Rodgers' message heard loud and clear. And I said, he lasted longer than I thought he would, biting his tongue. As I wrote in my story, I think my lead was something to the effect of the expiration date on Aaron Rodgers' patience with the young receivers must have been August 16th because today it boiled over. And look, like it was nowhere near as bad as I think was it 4 or 5 years ago when Valdez-Scantling and his crew were rookies and they were just really bad in training camp, and he used much stronger words back then to express his disappointment with them. I don't think he's there with this group. I just think he wants to hammer home how much they need these guys. And even, I mean, Christian Watson hasn't even taken, a regular full speed 11-on-11 snap with him yet. And he said, I'm going to test him every way possible as soon as he gets back, or, even now that he's sort of halfway back, coming off the PUP and doing some limited stuff. So, he knows he needs these guys, right? And that's like part of the message, I think, is just to, make sure those guys know they got to be ready.
And that leaves like Romeo Doubs. I got a chance out here in Vegas to watch him just torch UNLV for 3 years.
Joe is Rob. I'm going to interrupt Joe. Joe is the conductor of the Romeo Doubs hype train. I was in Vegas with him during the draft. Joe would not shut up. Literally, we introduced ourselves like we're getting to know each other. Yeah. And Joe's like, let me tell you about this guy named Romeo Doubs. So I just need everybody to know that.
MJ, I'll say this, man. Like, he looked the part from the minute he walked onto the field at rookie minicamp. He just had an aura about him. I mean, broad-shouldered guy, just carried himself, like a professional. He looked the part, and he's been really good. Like, I mean, honestly, you could make a case that he's been the star of training camp. He also has dropped the ball a few times, including twice in the game at San Francisco. I mean, the interception, was probably – partially Jordan Love's fault for not throwing the ball far enough to the outside, but it was probably more Romeo's fault for just not securing it properly. And then he had another drop in the game on ones that hit him right in the hands. And today at practice, there was a deep ball down the right sideline. I mean, Rodgers called it his best throw of the day. And I mean, look, an over-the-shoulder 60-yard or whatever it was catch is going to be really hard, but he dropped it. There's actually video of it on Twitter. Ken Ingalls, who does a great job with the salary cap stuff from a fan's perspective. We're not allowed to tweet team 11-on-11 video, but if you're sitting in the stands and you're not a credentialed member of the media. You can post whatever the hell you want.
Go figure.
And I thought about retweeting it, but I'm like, well, that's probably a violation of the rules, that they keep us to. So, but it was a heck of a throw, a heck of a route. He just dropped it. It doesn't mean that he's going to be, a drop guy during the regular season.
Right.
But I think Rodgers knows he has so much potential that he just kind of wants to make sure that he can get that through to him.
Well, the one thing about Dobbs that I've liked in college is he's great at 50-50 balls. So he'll go up and get it. But, the drops are something, and we did see it, like you said, on Friday when they played the Niners. So if you guys want to see that, Ken Ingles, Rob said, had it up on his Twitter account. The thing about Dobbs that I like is seeing Devontae Adams early, and you've seen him firsthand. I think there's quite a similarity between the two, from size to even with the drop issue early on in his career.
Yeah, no, you're right, Joe. I agree with that. And look, it was well into 2015 when we still weren't sure, exactly what Devontae was. I remember, and I used this in a story I think a year or two ago about Devontae and how far he had come. I remember one scout telling me after a particularly rough game, I think it was in 2015, saying they keep trotting 17 out there like he's Julio Jones. Well, guess what? He ended up being Julio Jones plus, probably.
Right. That's something at his introductory press conference, I asked him about the challenging second season he had, and he said that was something that molded him. You brought up Jordan Love, and the way that he played on Friday. I didn't think he played bad. I think, other than the one interception, which could have been on the receiver, running the two receivers running the wrong route, I thought he looked pretty damn good.
Yeah, like he has, but he'd look better in practice, Joe. And I think that's why maybe, some of us that have seen him every day maybe expected him to be a little bit better. I mean, look, we can dissect the 3 interceptions all you want and whose fault they were. They probably, you can make a strong case none of them was his fault. But he still had 3 interceptions, you're so used to the Aaron Rodgers, look, I mean, no one's ever going to be Rodgers. Probably he's got the greatest touchdown to interception ratio in the world, but somewhere between Brett Favre's 29 interception season in 2005 and Rodgers' 2 interception season in 2019, somewhere there's a happy medium. Right. And I think that's what whoever the next quarterback, whether it's Jordan Love or somebody else, that's kind of where they need to fall. And, it's just the alarming, the number. I mean, whoever's fault it was, he still threw 3 picks, right? And you can't win turning the ball over 3 times.
Rob, I'm curious. You hear a lot of things, and even if it's just body language from coaches, things like that, what's the general aura around Jordan Love so far in camp, and especially after that first game?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it changes day to day, MJ. It really does, which is kind of bizarre to say, after a guy's been here now, this is his 3rd camp. But, I mean, there's been plenty of days where he has gone out and lit it up in practice, played really, really well. Guys rally around him. And then there's other days where he doesn't make the big plays. And you can sort of see, people, wondering, does he have it or does he not have it? And I don't know that that's unusual, for a guy who's dealt with what he's dealt with. I mean, his rookie year was basically a wash because they had no offseason program with COVID. Training camp was so limited, no preseason games. Last year, he only got 2 preseason games because he had the shoulder injury. Game 1, missed game 2. He's really only played 1 real NFL game, 1.5, I guess, if you count the Kansas City full game in Detroit in week 17. And I think we need to try to just be a little bit more, I guess, careful with making any final judgments on him, just because, what the first 2 years has been like. Now we've come to expect guys, if you're a 1st-round quarterback, to play right away and be, either you're good right away or you're bad. Right.
Right.
And you're written off. I do think, and Rodgers has admitted this, it was the best thing that happened to him was sitting 3 years, and maybe Love will say the same thing. Because I think guys that are forced into playing early, I think they can lose it, easier than they can kind of grab it.
So another thing, Rob, one of the biggest keys to Jordan Love's success, if he ever gets the keys to the franchise, will be that offensive line.
Yeah.
It appears we've got Big E back.
Yeah.
Bakhtiari is still rehabbing, still working back. Talk to me about that offensive line, what the best five may be, where Bakhtiari is, all that good stuff.
Yeah, it sure looks like they're going to play Elton Jenkins at right tackle, which is kind of, I think what I thought anyway, and I was told in the offseason, they basically told him, hey, be ready to play right tackle if we need you. Not necessarily that we're 100% sure we're going to play you there, but be ready to do it just in case. And the just in case, I think, is the way they're going to go. Without Bakhtiari and Elton Jenkins, it looked bad. I mean, the outside, the protection, and really mostly on the right side, Josh Nijman was decent enough last season and seems good enough in practice right now. But that right side with basically a rotation of four guys, Royce Newman has been playing right guard and right tackle. I think he's much better as a guard than he is a tackle. Jake Hansen's been playing right guard, and then the two rookies, Sean Ryan and Zach Tom, have been in there as well. But just having Elton back, now he's not back in full contact stuff yet, but assuming he's good to go, just having one guy back and having him at right tackle sort of solidifies things. Now you only really have one spot to worry about right now, and that's right guard. Obviously Bakhtiari is, when he ends up back, if he ends up back, he's obviously going to one place, and that's left tackle. But just having Elton Jenkins back, I think, makes it look a little bit better. But they actually protected pretty decent in the game against San Francisco, but they have not been good in practice. And maybe that's, Rashawn Gary, Kenny Clark,
right,
Lowry, Preston Smith, getting after it on defense, which is good. But, there have been guys that have been in the backfield an awful lot, and the offense has really paid the price for it.
Well, I think one of the questions MJ really should have asked you was, we have a gentleman's bet of Bakhtiari minus. Is he going to?
Oh gosh,
us now, and even our producer Bruce is in on it. So I think 4.5 is the line that I gave. I set it up. You think he'll be back before or after week 4, just based off things that you've seen?
After. The new PUP rules allow say if you're on PUP to start the season, you have to sit out 4 games. It used to be 6, okay, which actually I think makes it more likely that he ends up on PUP because it's only 4, and maybe they can get him back in week 5 or week 6. Now, once after those 4 weeks, you have another window in which you can practice and not be added to the roster. I think it's a 21-day window. But I just, at this point, he's done nothing since the 27 snaps that he played at Detroit on, what was that, January? I don't have the schedule in front of me. January
early in the year.
8th or whatever it was of 2022 this year, the season finale of 21. He played 27 snaps. He hasn't stepped foot on a football field since. And as we were going through the offseason and he wasn't doing anything, and then, as we got closer to training camp, I started to think to myself, I go, there's 2 scenarios for him. Neither of them are great, but if he sat out all offseason and isn't ready to go for training camp just because of what happened in Detroit, that's really bad. But if he sat out all this time because he had another surgery, which at the time I didn't know if he did, but I suspected he did, then that's probably the best case scenario. And sure enough, the first day of camp, he confirmed that he had another procedure. I wouldn't say exactly what they went in there and did, but did make a point of it's not the ACL, it's something else in there, which is probably good. So the fact that he is still, he had the surgery and that's why he's out is much better than him not having surgery and it just still being a problem from what happened last season. So I do think that's the better of the 2 not so great scenarios.
See, I thought he'd be back by the Tampa Bay game just because of the fact that them and the Rams are probably
the 3 best teams in the NFC.
Yeah, I just think that unless he's back and what are we at here? So August 16th, they have, not that he would play in preseason, but August 19th, August 25th. If he's not practicing in some capacity by last week of camp, so like August 20 something, I just don't see how he plays week 1.
Let's shift gears to the defense. And one of the things, obviously there's potentially 7 first-round picks starting for their defense. It's something that the team
crazy.
is heavily invested in.
Yeah.
And which has kind of been a change from the past. I mean, I'm 45, Rob, so we're kind of in the same age group, so, I think we remember those.
I'm 45-ish.
Well, see, the hair makes you look younger. That's what it is. So, but, I remember those hellish years where they invested so much on offense. And now when you have a guy like Quay Walker and, obviously Jair Alexander, Kenny Clark, you know the names. Yeah. Is that something you've seen this defense? Is this the best defense you've seen? I don't want to say since the 2010 team, but maybe even a little further back with that 96 team potentially.
Yeah. I think the 2014 defense was really good too. The one that, basically had shut Seattle down for most of that NFC Championship game.
Yeah.
That was a pretty good defense as well. But if you look at every level of this defense, from the line to the linebackers to the defensive backfield, there's not really a weakness, right? Like they have really good players at every spot, and they also have a stud at each spot. I mean, Kenny Clark is a stud on the defensive line, and then you've got a bunch of other really good players like Jaron Reed, who's been, I think, maybe an underrated addition, and Dean Lowry, who's coming off his best year, and TJ Slayton, who's played really well, the second-year guy. Then you go to outside linebacker, and Rashawn Gary is becoming everything that they had hoped he would be, and Preston Smith, he's an every other year guy. It seems like the odd number of years he kicks butt and the even number of years he struggles. So see if we can break that this year. And then, they've never really invested in the inside linebackers before. And now all of a sudden they paid a guy big money, $10 million a year in Campbell, and they used a first round pick on Walker. I mean, what's the last time they used a high pick on an inside linebacker? AJ Hawk, probably.
Yeah.
I don't remember them ever signing a free agent inside linebacker to
they refused to spend money on
big contract. Yeah. So you have that there. I mean, your two safeties, I think, are really good players. Savage, to me, I think they could unleash him a little bit more and get him closer to the ball. Amos is steady. Your top 3 corners are really good. Everybody's like, well, they don't have a third and fourth outside linebacker. They don't have a fourth corner. But some teams don't have a second and third corner and a second outside linebacker.
True.
So you kind of got to – I mean, we're nitpicking, I guess, is my point there, is that they have – I would say they have 12 really good starters. Now, I say 12 because they could go base and Rasul Douglas is off the field, or they could go nickel and Rasul Douglas is on the field. So I just think they are really, really good to great at so many of those positions on the defensive side. Obviously, they're going to sustain some injuries, right? Everybody does. But they have more good players than maybe a lot of other teams that therefore they can maybe sustain an injury or two on that side of the ball. I mean, heck, they sustained multiple injuries last year. Was Zadarius and Jair Alexander, 2 studs, and they still had a pretty decent defense. Now, I think their ranking is a little bit skewed because they didn't stop the run very well at all. They were ranked like 11th in yards, but they were 29th, I think, in yards allowed per carry, which I think is a more telling stat.
Rob, real quick, before I want to get your opinion on special teams, but I have a very important question. Okay. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you miss Lou Malnati's pizza?
Well, see, here's the deal, MJ. A couple things here. There are 2 Lou Malnati's in the Milwaukee area right now. Okay.
Oh.
One is a full-fledged restaurant. The other is a carryout, and it is exactly 89 miles from my door. And I know that because several times this offseason, I put in an order, drove down, picked up about 4 of them, and drove back. And then we ate a couple and then froze.
Oh, Lord.
Hold on, Rob.
I was in Chicago multiple times this summer, once for an AAU basketball tournament. Took our entire 17U team to a Lou Malnati. So I got my fix right now. I'm not like missing it that much.
Was it one of the originals, though? That's the question. Because, the second one was Elk Grove Village, and that's like one of the best ones that
Elk Grove, Bruce, was the one I grew up going to. The one in
Elk
Grove.
That's the one that's the one I went to. I lived right down the street.
It's every bit as good. It's not like what is it, Uno's that franchised out. No, this is the butter crust. This is the full sausage.
My man.
But it is different if you order it and have it shipped to you. They have frozen ones, and it's through this website called Taste of Chicago. They're good, but it's the same. So I would rather drive. I'd rather drive the 90 minutes each way for the real thing, and then freeze those.
Oh man.
Oh yeah.
So I had to jump in. I had to interject real quick. Yeah. I knew I liked you a lot, Rob. There's only one thing I don't, but I had to.
my parents, like, they go to Florida most of the year, but when they're in Chicago, my dad stocks up and they take it back to Florida. They don't do the shipping; they buy it themselves from the actual places. Take it back, hardcore.
Oh, that's amazing.
The Demovsky family is hardcore Lou Malnati's. I mean, we're almost Italian.
And isn't it, Rob? Isn't it Wes that is like obsessed with brats or some stupid crap like that?
Well, Wes has got a lot of issues. So, it's funny. Wes and I, like, we always make fun of each other, joke around on Twitter, and there's people that think like we actually don't like each other. But really, Wes is like probably my best friend, or one of my best friends on the beat. So, but Wes has some issues with food. Wes doesn't like cheese. Okay.
Oh gosh, that really limits your options. That's terrible.
What, man? So Bruce had put this question in the queue. We want to know how difficult it is for you to maintain impartiality with the players you develop some personal relationships with. Yeah,
I think it's different when they're current players versus former players. Okay, like when they're active players, I mean, it's you call it like you see it, right? And I've had several players that, have not always liked stuff I've written, but because we talk about it and, I explain my side of it, and I think I'm fair. Most 99% of them are good with it. And some of those players and I have developed really good relationships after playing. And so I think once those guys are done, and I'll give you a couple examples. I mean, Leroy Butler, he's just great. I mean, I love the guy, but when I covered him, he was just number 36, and and you had to treat him. If he blew something on a blitz, and he loved to blitz, and he loved to get Fritz Shermer to hey, blitz me more. And sometimes, bad things happen. And I think we were, at least I was, fair with him. And now when I don't necessarily cover him on a daily basis, I can call him a friend. But when there's guys, the guys when they're currently on the team, we have really good professional business relationships, but friendships don't develop until probably after they're out of the locker room. And vice versa with guys that I might not like or might be really, really difficult to deal with. I probably just keep my distance and just, don't talk to them unless you have to. I mean, I'm not going to avoid a guy if it's part of a story that needs to be told, but there's 53 guys on a team. You don't have to get along with all of them. They don't all have to like you to cover the team.
Do you think that those relationships or lack thereof is one of the reasons why, besides not playing a long time, Sterling Sharp hasn't been elected in the Hall of Fame? Because I know after his rookie year, he had a contentious relationship with the local media.
Yeah, that was a little before my time, Joe, but I definitely remember hearing it. I've heard the other beat writers. Pete Doherty has told me all about it. Cliff Crystal, some of those guys. I don't think it does, at least from look, there's Pete Doherty's the voter for our, there's all 32 teams are represented on the Hall of Fame by one voter. Pete Doherty's the voter. I don't want to speak for him, but I don't think that plays into his decision. I think he's all about, what he did on the field. And, is he into the Veterans Committee now? Is he passed?
Yeah, he is. And that's the reason why, that was part of the reason why I asked it, because talking to some other reporters, they seem to think that this may be the year that it kind of opens up for him to get in.
Yeah, and I know just from some of the voters I know that did it, they're obviously not part of this committee. This is a different deal. But all the people I talked to, said that it was the length of his career, not, how he carried himself. That is, the one issue. And I've also never, not that I've talked to all 50 voters, but I know enough of them. And I've never gotten the sense that anyone's relationship with the media swayed one of the votes, either way. I think it's interesting in the whole, process of it is that the person for the regular vote, the person who is in that market is the one that presents the player. Okay. Like Pete Doherty presented the research and, for several years on Butler. And I know he talked to a lot of people, he talked to, safeties, like he talked to Ronnie Lott and Lynch and guys that were already in and got their view on it, coaches, all this other stuff. I know those guys take it seriously, but I always wondered, I asked Pete this, I go, what happens if one of the guys that was from your team was up and you didn't think he was worthy of the Hall of Fame? How do you present him? And he said that, well, in that case, somebody else does the presentation.
Interesting.
Wow. That's true. That's true. Rob, well, I know we took a lot of your time, took a little bit more than what you probably would have liked. But before we let you out here, let me congratulate you. I mean, your son got the scholarship offer. I seen it on Facebook and you put it out there, man. Yeah. Congrats. I know it's an exciting time for you guys, man. Congratulations.
Yeah, it's definitely. I'm honestly more of a basketball guy than I am a football guy. Yeah, it's fun, Joe, watching your kids play basketball, and I really appreciate your. You've always been kind with your praise, so it's a lot of fun.
Man, appreciate you jumping on, man. Congratulations. It's good to finally actually see you because I know there's a lot of social media stuff and little interactions, and man, a big fan. I know MJ speaks so highly of you, but I'm a big fan of your work, man. You're the best.
Well, the feeling's mutual, guys. I'm glad we could do it.
All right, everybody. That's
absolutely.
Rob
Thank you so much, Rob.
ESPN reporter, the GOAT when it comes to Packer coverage. I'm just going to say it. That's my guy right there, man. Appreciate you, Rob.
Thanks, guys.
Talk to you later, Rob. Thank you, sir.
We'll be seeing you.
Rob Demovsky, my man.
MJ,
my grilled cheese now.
Now see I know JJ said, he thought I'm the one that got Rob on. No, that was all MJ right there.
Well, Rob and I have the hometown connection. We grew up about 20 minutes from each other, very close to where Bruce grew up and still lives as well. So that's why, I bring up the Lou Malnati's. Rob and I can always, talk crap about Lou Malnati, Chicago, and all that stuff. We're always connected there.
Yeah, you figure Chicago, connected people.
Oh, yeah. We grew up in the suburbs. You got to stay close. So, Joe, how you doing? How's life?
But you know what? I can't complain, but we're not talking about life. Let's talk about these injuries, the injury situation with the Packers.
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about that now. As we talked about with Rob just a few moments ago, the injury list has shrunk. Elton Jenkins, Christian Watson, and Robert Tonyan, Bobby Tons is they're back off the PUP list. They're getting ready to they're getting after it. Non-contact stuff right now. It's a big deal. The less guys on that list for this team, the better, as we all know.
For sure.
And really the last guy that you really, we talked about is Bakhtiari. He's the last big guy that's on there. But to get back Jenkins and to have him at right tackle, that to me, that was kind of a surprise. I thought, you keep him inside that guard and keep that left side up. Or if Bakhtiari's out, you slide him to left tackle and put Yeoman on the other side, and you have your bookends. But for them, it looks like this is the position they're going to go forward with Jenkins at right tackle, and then when Bakhtiari until that time, Noman being the left tackle.
Well, I think, Joe, it's more that Jenkins doesn't need to still learn left tackle or left guard. I think it's more with his knee and with all of that, he needs to be more comfortable. If for some reason he starts right tackle week 1, I think mentally he needs to be more comfortable with the movements and be more comfortable exploding. I think in his mind, he's probably pretty comfortable exploding out of his left tackle stance, playing in the trenches at left guard. I don't think he's as comfortable with the right guard or the right tackle footwork, which is why they were working with him there. I don't think it's inherently that's going to be his spot right away. Because like Rob said, and like I've believed, I don't think Bakhtiari will be back week 1. And so realistically, I think you still have to put your best guy at left tackle, which if healthy would be Elton Jenkins. However, they even asked Jenkins after that practice, hey, I saw you working at right tackle. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to work at right tackle. I'm going to work at center. I'm going to work at right guard. I'm going to work everywhere because that's what he does. Even LaFleur was like, yeah, we might throw him at tight end because why not? Put your best players on the field. Big E could go run some routes. I'm not opposed. So I think it's really just across the board. He needed to get some more work there. and I think it's specifically related to his injury. That's where he needed to get more comfortable, because even Joe, when it comes to muscle memory for an athlete, that's what's the most important. He doesn't have the muscle memory there, so that's why he was working there.
So when you look at the next guy, I'll talk about Tonyan. He's a guy that, this essentially is a contract year for him again.
Yes,
and he's really going to look to cash in, and he adds so much to that group. I mean, they brought the guy in from the Bills. I mean, look, I'm gonna be honest with you. Davis needs to be cut, and he should have been cut Friday after that game against the 49ers. And
he's wearing number 84, Joe.
Bro, that was in our group text.
I got a text from Joe immediately. It just goes, cut this guy. I'm like, who? He goes, Davis. Disgrace. Shouldn't be wearing number 84. I'm like, dang, okay, Joe.
Straight up. I mean, I don't see it, in the game alone, he missed a down blocking down line, caused an interception, and he's horrendous on. I don't know if it's what they see in him at this point, but with Tonyan coming back, you got to think, I would have kept Daphne over him. That's just me. I don't know what it is with him and what they see in him.
I honestly don't know, but with Tonyan being back, I really think that he will be one of the top 3 targets this year. And I know that's not a hot take, but I think a lot of people have forgotten with the discussion about how inexperienced the Packers wide receiver core is. The fact that Robert Tonyan was the second highest graded tight end his last full season in the NFL. The only tight end better than him in the NFL in 2021 was Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
So if you're saying he's going to be back and fully healthy, because I don't think there's any concern. He was out there running routes. He's been out there doing a bunch of normal stuff in camp. If you're telling me he's back, the guy who got me like 700 yards and 10 touchdowns, that's a guy I'm really excited about having back, because that takes a lot of pressure off of everybody else. It also makes Randall Cobb a heck of a lot better, because if 100%. You take the majority of the inside attention in the middle of the field to Robert Tonyan, all of a sudden Randall Cobb becomes even more dangerous, and it just snowballs from there. So I think having Robert Tonyan back, somebody Rodgers really trusts just as much as Cobb or Lazard, that will be huge for the offense.
Well, it takes a load off of Big Dog. You got the Guara back, and he's looked good. So, I mean, you have 3 legit tight ends there. And then, you get Christian Watson back. And this is the time that, Packer fans, they want to see. They want
time to shine.
Exactly. They want to see, and I think the Packers obviously want to see what Christian Watson can do when you spend a high pick, a second-round pick, regardless when anybody says, it's not a first-round pick. It's a second-round pick. It's still a high pick in the draft.
Yeah.
When you trade up to get him early in the second round, now you have somebody that there is some even more added pressure to. Because you're not going to replace Devontae Adams, at least not with one person. You're going to have to spread the ball around. And he's a guy that has a lot of the traits that they really like and they look for with the emergence of Dobbs, with Allen Lazard, with Cobb. Look, Amari Rodgers has played real well too. Winfrey has looked pretty good. Now you may not have the one superstar, but you may have a very, very solid group with some budding guys that you never know that could end up being superstars.
I love that. Let me repeat that I will always repeat this. Aaron Rodgers went to an NFC championship game and went to overtime in that championship game with who was his best receiver? Jeff Janis. No offense to Jeff Janis.
I thought we had the unwritten rule we don't really mention his name on this show ever.
I just did 2 times, and I'm going to say it a 3rd time. Aaron Rodgers went to an NFC championship game with Jeff Janis as his number 1 receiver. I am not worried about him with Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, Allen Lazard, Randall Cobb, Robert Tonyan, etc. He'll be perfectly fine. The reason I might be worried, actually, I'm not worried. I'm not worried because we have a 2-time reigning MVP quarterback. We have the best defense in the NFL. And our special teams might not suck.
Man, let me tell you something.
That's all I really got to say about the special teams. I don't like talking about it.
So I told you last week that as long as Dylan or whatever Levitt, who I've seen out here with the Raiders for a number of years in Vegas, as long as he's not in coverage and playing defense, he's going to be an asset.
Yeah.
And you've kind of seen that on special teams. And then what they do, they have him out there playing coverage. He hurts his shoulder, and it looks like, he's going to miss some time. But the guy,
you told him.
But the guy to watch out for, and we've seen him, and we even seen him in coverage and on the defense that I think really is going to take that other slot corner spot, Keyshawn Nixon. He played extremely well against the Niners. Yeah, and I'm a homer for saying that. But Key played really well. And what I like about what he brings to the defense is the same thing that like Jair Alexander has, the same thing you see with Smash, with Vondre, with Quay Walker, with Kenny. And I know this with Kenny from being around him while he trains in the offseason at times. There's a no-nonsense attitude, and they're not scared. They're literally not scared. They'll take on anybody. Those are the guys you want walking in that dark alley with you if you're going to get into a fight. Those are the guys you want with you. And he's bringing that even, so now you don't just have this one or two guys. You're developing a whole defense that's kind of got that badass attitude, and you have to be excited about that.
Really, dark alley? We're going straight to a dark alley?
Why not?
9 o'clock on a Tuesday?
Man, well, see, it's 9 where you're at. It's 7 where I am. So, I mean, we're good.
Joe, this is a Packers show, so it's 9 o'clock.
I still got sunlight.
Because it's central. Joe, it is dark outside. It's been raining for 2 hours. It was 108 degrees today, which I know isn't hot to you because you live in Vegas. But then it dropped to 85 in 20 minutes, and it poured.
Well, you know what was pouring today? You know what was pouring? The Green Bay defense against the Saints. They were whooping their ass. And the offense was poor, but the defense was coming down, smashing, banging heads. And look, hey, they said Jair, Eric Stokes, and the homie Rasul, they were clampy McClamps all on Mike Thomas and company.
Okay, well, it's not hard to clamp up Slant Boy. Would I bring Bruce to a street fight? Yes, no. I would. He's actually kind of terrifying when he gets angry.
Bruce will sit at home and watch Bubble Guppies.
Anyway, the line.
Whoa! I will eat them Bubble Guppies. But hey, man, give me a few whiskeys in me, and I'm good to go. I'm too tired.
You don't have to tell me about what happens when I get some whiskey in you.
All right. I'm out.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, Joe, I really hope that you never see Bruce get a certain level of intoxicated because he will try and fight you.
I'll make sure when he comes to Vegas that I'm busy that weekend.
Yeah, that's a good. So for the draft next year, you're busy.
I'm busy. I can't rock with you, Bruce. I'm sorry.
Oh my god.
But look. So obviously they play the Saints this weekend. You see Bruce, the degenerate right there, puts the gambling line.
Naturally.
Based off because I love you too. Based off of this, he bets on preseason football. Yes,
he bet on the Hall of Fame game and a White Sox game as a parlay.
Yes. So I say that with, I don't think each team today is really trying to they weren't trying to show anything, but I did see them as far as everything I've read, because obviously I wasn't there, the defense really showed out. Went out there, dominated the Saints offense. And I'm going to temper the enthusiasm with the Saints offense because Sean Payton's not calling the plays.
Right.
Literally, Sean Payton is where NBC, Fox, CBS, somewhere, doing God knows what with God knows who. And
he's in Miami with Tom Brady. Wait, no, that was a different.
Tom Brady isn't even in Tampa right now. He's like somewhere else. So
And that's
maybe he's
your
in Dallas
greatest leader of
looking
all
for
time.
houses.
That's crazy. He's not even with the team for preseason. Shouldn't be me.
I mean, he
That's
could be
the
in
guy.
Dallas. You know,
He could be in Dallas. What?
he could be in Dallas looking for houses. You know, future employment opportunities in Dallas. You know,
Who are we talking about?
we're talking about Sean Payton.
Oh, I was
you know,
still roasting Tom Brady.
I moved on
That's
from
my
him.
personal
I'm
favorite
done.
pastime. I hate Tom Brady. It's fine.
So,
Joe.
but the point was the Saints offense ain't the same.
No, it's not. It's not even close. And no disrespect to Jameis Winston, Taysom Hill, whoever's at quarterback back there, but no, that's a hard pass. Hard pass. Yes, I did. Bruce is in the chat. I did accidentally call you Bruce. Force of habit. It's okay. I see a bald guy on screen. I'm doing a show with that.
Look, man, it's all good. But even with that being said, that's our time for the night. You know, MJ.
Yes, it is.
MJ's brains need a break.
Real quick.
You need to
pick.
Do you have a fumble or Hail Mary? Which one you got?
Honestly, just Hail Mary to Rob.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rob, for coming on the show. It was a great time. We had a celebrity on the show, Joe. It was a good time. I enjoyed myself. Hopefully Rob enjoyed himself. Hopefully we'll have him back at some point during the season to chop it up. Hopefully once it comes maybe around playoff time. Get a little playoff Rob.
So
I'd love to see it.
So the question is, though, MJ, what do we got to do? What do we got to do to get you to shave your head like me and Bruce?
Oh, that would take a lot.
You knew damn well I was going to jump in on this one. My guy.
Shave these luscious locks.
They'll grow back. They'll grow back.
That would take a lot. I don't.
Ooh, should we?
That would take like 1 million views on a video or something. Like that would take.
Whoa.
That's crazy. Bruce, I guess what we're gonna do. Come up with something for next week. So like Green Bay going 13-3 and winning the Super Bowl, or something like that. Okay, something like that. Would that get you to shave your head?
So real quick. So I actually think something like that is a very realistic possibility.
If they
maybe 13-4.
No, if they knock Tom Brady out of the playoffs and win the Super Bowl in the same season.
Whoa!
My head.
Oh, there it is. He said it. They knocked the Bucks out the playoffs and they won the Super Bowl.
All right, I'm down with that.
Shaving his head. Okay.
I'm down with that.
Both of those have to happen, though.
They both have to happen.
But so the Packers have to beat the Buccaneers, and
they have to knock Tom Brady. If Brady doesn't play in that game, it does not count. Like if Brady is hurt, it doesn't count.
You guys heard it here.
Brady out.
Follow Game On Wisconsin for more Packers content. I don't know why I'm ending it, but in any case. Oh, hey, Third Down Thursdays, MJ and I are jumping on this week. Have some fun. Joe may stop by. So as always, guys, I guess I should shut up and let them do it.
All right, guys.
Joe.
For MJ, I'm Joe. We're out of here. That was Bruce. We'll talk to you guys next week on Game On Wisconsin. This has been Immaculate Perceptions.
Love you, Joe.
Yes, sir. Love you back, Jerome.